Thank you very much, JV University, for having me here today. Before I begin this very, very important and vital topic, and we talk about it, I think let us put our hands together in congratulating the student body here, the way they have efficiently managed this entire event, the way they conducted us till now. Now, I go by a very simple rule and logic in life. You're either there or not there at all. You can't be there, half there and half not. So for the next few minutes that I'm going to be speaking to you, I humbly request your utmost attention. The topic we are going to talk about is very vital. It's about media literacy. How important is media literacy? What is media literacy? How does the media function? And what are the workings which go on behind the scenes in media companies? What is fake news? Why are we talking so much about it, right? So all of these things, usually, we journalists used to think that we should only educate fellow journalists within our teams or the students of journalism. And I've been a very firm believer in this, that is an absolutely wrong approach to take. Because it's media literacy shouldn't only be about the journalists, the ones who end up curating the news or reporting it. The most important part in this is also the audiences. And if the audiences aren't aware of what is the news which is being fed to them, then we are at a great loss. And fake news is serious. Misinformation, disinformation, all of this is serious. When I say serious, it literally kills. We have seen in our country people being lynched on accusations on fake news and fake videos. Can you imagine, God forbid, losing a family member to fake news just because somebody sent a WhatsApp forward to somebody and then that led to somebody's death, a mother losing her child? Just let that sink in. There was a video viral around a year and a half ago on WhatsApp, on social media, various websites, which depicted the kidnap of a child on the road. Everybody circulated that video thinking, how could this happen? And that video was caught on CCTV. So first thought in our heads, it's caught on CCTV, it has to be authentic. And that video went so viral that we lost around 3 people to that video. In Karnataka, where I am currently based, there was a father with his son, with a toddler in his arms, and the crowd mistook him as a child lifter just because the skin color didn't match. He was lynched. Father dead. The child, when he grows up, will have no idea what happened with his father. So when I say this is serious, this really is very, very serious. Now, before I move on and get into these topics, let me start by asking you guys a few questions. Do you think Indian media is fair and free? Yes or no in the loudest possible tones ever? No. Yes. There you have it. Now, is Indian media biased? Yes. Do you think that journalists command the same respect today that they used to 10 years ago? No. Now, how many of you here are students of journalism? Can you please raise your hands? See, I love this. There's only one hand over there. Because I'm so used to talking to journalists that this is the audience that I could only dream about. Right? The people who are not journalists, because you are the ones who actually become the opinion leaders and opinion generators in the society. Okay? Now let's come on to the topic of media literacy. Now, how do you tell what is fake? How do you tell what is not? There is no golden rule for it. Even we don't know. good old common sense. And when that is not enough, one word, Google, and you will figure out the truth. So whenever I used to get WhatsApp forwards which were too inflammatory or would make me angry, a certain spurt of emotion, angry, or I feel disgusted suddenly after seeing a WhatsApp forward, being a video or be it a picture, or I feel outraged. What is the first instinct when you see something like that? What do we do? Anyone? What do we do? On WhatsApp, you see something really, yes, what do we do?
So we usually forward that video.
है ना? क्यों? Because गुस्सा है, right? दर्द है. And we want people to know. Somebody is suffering, you also should know. And that's exactly what you should not do. So whenever you see something which riles you up, that's your first indicator that this is something which you need to question. And go by the rule, question everything. Do not believe us journalists. Please, for God's sake, do not. Because I don't think many of us can honestly call ourselves journalists anymore. Because the lines between lobbyists, PR, journalism have blurred so much. I don't know about others, but I personally find myself really wary of calling myself a journalist. I'm still struggling to be a journalist in the present day and age. Now, are the citizens aware of this? We just proved it that you are aware of this, that something is wrong. But then why aren't we doing anything about this? And you would ask me, what could we do as news consumers? You know, it is the news, it is supply versus demand, MBA. So, okay, so demand supply, it's always, that's how it goes. But then, when we have people giving the highest of TRP to a channel which the name of which starts with R, highest of TRP. I'm not scared, I will say that, don't worry. Nobody likes me anyway. The name starts with R and everybody gives them the highest of it. Why? Have you thought of it? I happened to meet in one of India's top business leaders at the conference, and I asked him, what do you watch? He said, I watched that guy who screams on top of it. I said, why would you do that? He's like, hey, that's my prime time entertainment. I mean, that was funny. I laughed as well, but then when I went back, I realized how big an irony it was that now for cheap entertainment, what we do is watch news channels. Let me tell you a fact about myself. The last time I saw a news channel, consciously, not by accident on airports and stuff, was around 5 years ago. And do you know what changed? I'm happier. I don't have hypertension. I don't go on outraging about everything on Twitter. And I live a more peaceful life. And most importantly, India is not at war. I just realized after not watching television that India is not at war. We are not constantly fighting a war. There is hope. There are wonderful students like you who are studying to make our country greater than what it is today. There are scientists. Today, ISRO couldn't make it, but then look at the wonderful effort they made. Just 2.1 kilometers from the surface of the moon, they reached there with a very meager budget. Can we give them a round of applause? And this gratitude, it was what makes us different. That we need to acknowledge what our fellow Indians do. I know I'm digressing a little bit, but I love doing that. Especially when I get an opportunity to talk to our young minds, because you are the future of this country. And if you are really a patriot, you would ensure that we become, whatever we do, if you are in HR, you are in rural management, or sustainability studies, that you do and give your best to this country. Because literacy and education are two different things, and we have seen that. We have seen on Twitter, we have seen on Facebook, all these so-called experts spewing venom day in and day out on TV channels, screaming on top of their lungs, making no sense whatsoever. And those are our top educationists, journalists, analysts, whatever you want to call them. And we need to fix that, and the change begins here. Now, I told you about media literacy. Media literacy is not a rocket science. It's just simple. Whatever doesn't make sense to you, whatever seems too sensational, discard it the moment you hear it. Okay? Then, let's come on to the media organization, right? So you say media is biased. We know the channel named R. Which party does that channel side with? BJP. Oh, louder. They will be very happy to know that you are near the party. And then we have NDTV. We like it, right, in general? Divided. So somewhere in between the center, sometimes here, sometimes there. And we have online portals nowadays, The Wire. How many of you have read that? Left, right, center, where does The Wire stand? Left. You are already media literate. Aren't you? Okay. Now the actual problem doesn't lie in the content and the projection of that content. We already understand that, but we still choose to consume that content. The problem lies behind the scenes. That's where the problem begins. And not many people will tell you this. The problem lies in the funding of the Indian media companies. The problem lies in understanding how does a media company make money. Because ultimately it is vitamin M which controls everything from US to India to Russia, wherever it is. Media has been taken over either by business houses or by politicians or by families. No, which family is this? Sorry? Gandhi. I wouldn't know. Okay. So media has been overtaken. So we know that the Reliance Group now owns Network 18, which is all of your major channels, CNN, IBN, CNN, News 18, etc. All of these, Reliance has a major stake in it. So now, do you think News 18 can manage to stay balanced or even biased against Reliance? Will they ever write against them? It's anybody's guess, no, because since your funding comes from them, you will not be able to do much of it. Okay. Some online portals who are funded by trusts, some of the organizations who are funded by political parties. BJP also funds a couple of them directly or indirectly. Which channel? With Z. And I'm not saying it to get it. Which other channel? I'm not sure about that. Okay. So let's see. Hindustan Times, we've all seen that newspaper. I mean, we know the classic ones, right? We know Republic. See, I finally said it. We know Z News, and etc. etc. Hindustan Times. They had an MP from Congress. Okay. So may or may not directly be funded by Congress, but then there was a political link, right? There's a political link. So you should know that first. Who are the people who work for media? Danish Manzoor, I was part of that organization. Samajwadi Party MP from that company. Okay. Odisha TV, we are here, right? So let's talk about that. Who? From now BJP. Okay. That doesn't mean that these are essentially biased, but then you understand that something is wrong. Because we as journalists, when we were growing up, I was just talking to my fellow journalists over here, there is something absolutely wrong with that. हम झोला छाप पत्रकार होते थे. अगर आपने पुरानी हिंदी फिल्में देखी, आपने देखा होगा एडिटर प्रिंट भी खुद करता था, पब्लिशर भी खुद होता था, और वो झोला पहन के खादी का कपड़ा पहन के चलता था. Today the media houses are turned into corporate houses. Nothing wrong with that as long as you conduct your business well. But where does the funding of media organizations come from? That is what you need to research yourself. Where is the funding coming from? And you need to understand that what is going on. And then you have to make an informed decision about what to make out of it. Now moving on about media houses, let me just tell you a quick figure. I think in 2017, the Hindi newspapers got around $32.46 million worth of funding from the government, which is through government ads through DADP. English ones got around $21.04 million of funding from the government. Okay? Now, when I used to edit Danish Manzoor's English weekly, it was called City Plus, it was a hyperlocal weekly, we used to print a 12-pager tabloid. And the cost of printing, am I at liberty to say that? The cost of printing used to be around 6 rupees per copy, after the newsprint, etc., whatever was done. And guess how much we used to sell that paper for? Any guesses? Wild guesses?
1 rupee.
2, 3, 1 rupee, 1 rupee guess. Huh? 0. Free of cost. It was a 3-sheeter. Okay. Similarly, now imagine if a 12-pager small paper costs you 6 rupees to print, how much would a Times of India, or Hindu, or a Hindustan Times cost you with a, say, a 20-pager? And broadsheet that? I mean, of course, they print in bigger numbers, so the cost comes down, etc., etc., economies of scale and all that. Huh? But still, it would be higher than that. And they used to sell for 2 rupees, 5 rupees, 10 rupees a paper. Now, where do they make the money? How do they pay their staff? How are journalists paid? How are editors paid? How are the photographers paid? How is the rent paid? How are the buildings? How can they afford the buildings and stuff? Advertisements. Okay? But to be very honest, national media is a different ballgame altogether, and local media, the state level media, is a different ballgame altogether. But national media, they have n number of avenues. They have bigger companies funding them. They have, their ad rates are really high, so they may or may not be able to break even. I don't know who breaks even, but then they may or may not be. But now, with the advent of digital and the combination of digital, broadcast and print, they're able to sell their products at a much higher rate. So some of them are really growing exponentially, some of them are still struggling. You must have seen lots of layoffs happening in media, lots of newspapers closing down their editions. So that's also one reason for that. Okay. What does national media do? National media sets national level agendas, national level lobbies. जो आपको हमको पता ही नहीं है. There would be an article today about solar energy, which you will look at them, so progressive, solar energy. You would not know it's a company from US who plans to make an entry into India with the product of solar energy. 1 year before they have come to India, the article has been planted in India, and there's a conversation happening around that. So national media sets a larger agenda for the national level. State level media, some of them are run by very enthusiastic editors and journalists. They want to bring about change, but down the line when they realize it's sustainable nahi hai, to kya kare? And a majority of them, with regret I have to say this, end up succumbing rather to the pressures, financial pressures, etc., and then relying on government money, political money. I know many local TV channels. When you go to a press conference, 2000 का नोट जेब में, अब तो 2000 का है. Don't forget the chip offer. 2000 के नोट में chip भी आई थी टाइम पे. That is our level of media literacy, and that is what our media thinks of us. You can sell us a chip in a 2021, and that's atrocious. It boils my blood. And they can fool us like this, and we allow them to be fooled. That we can be on social media and we are outraging about everything. What is this anger for instance? Like for 1 second, for God's sake. I'm on Twitter, I'm very active. Not anymore. But what is this anger? Have you realized Twitter as a platform? Because media isn't now just about print, digital, broadcast, now it's on social media as well, right? Now you guys are also opinion leaders, opinion generators, content creators. Twitter is about outrage, anger, complaints. फ्लिपकार्ट ने टाइम पे नहीं भेजा, ट्वीट कर दो, रिप्लाई आ जाएगा. क्रेडिट कार्ड नहीं मिल रहा, SBI को ट्वीट कर दो, रिप्लाई नहीं आएगा. Instagram, what do we do on Instagram? Of course, we all know what we do. Little guilty pleasure, right? Fear of missing out and all that stuff. Facebook, who was on Facebook? But we still are there because connected with old friends and school friends, and Facebook, being the creep that it is, it will figure out who you've spoken to, and suddenly you'll get the friend request from somebody from your childhood. You're like, how on earth is this possible? And somebody you saw on the campus, and you just saw the person, and suddenly there's a pop-up. ये कैसे हुआ? ठीक है? So you see, now the problem here is that we allow the media to fool us. Coming back to the point of local media, when they succumb to these pressures because they want to survive, they want to sustain, the money exchanges hands. It doesn't end at simple exchange of money for coverage, for press release, printing, etc., etc. It also goes into tendering processes, where the editors or newspaper owners, what they do, they meet the ministers, they say, "Ye tender humko dena," and they get a contractor in between and they get their cut. And that is how they survive. And now, do you think this kind of media is going to give you the right news? No, they are not. And that is where I started, that media literacy is important. You are already media literate, but please, for heaven's sake, do not believe in anything inflammatory. Do not believe in anything that you see that riles you up. Question it, Google it, check it. What we need today is a peaceful, progressive nation. The last thing we need is a war. The last thing we need is hatred. I was born in Kashmir, I grew up there, had a lot of friends from various religions, and we didn't even realize we were not from the same religion, contrary to what you know about Jammu and Kashmir. दिवाली पे हम सेलिब्रेट करते थे, ईद पे हम सेलिब्रेट करते थे, बैसाखी के दिन सरदार कम होते थे मुगल गार्डन्स में, मुसलमान और हिंदू ज्यादा होते थे. So do we need this? No, we don't. So whoever is pushing their agenda, it's their job. Let them do it. There's nothing wrong. But please understand that there is nothing wrong with each one of us individuals as a human being. What we want is peace, prosperity, and growth. यही चाहते हैं ना? And basic facilities. So we spoke about media literacy, we spoke about the funding of the organization, we dabbled a bit into numbers and saw how much did the government fund. Now I think you are slightly better aware, and now you'll think a bit more critically about before consuming any content from media. I was talking to my friend Dheeraj earlier this morning. He asked me, did you sleep well? I said, no. I lied to him. Not on the fact I didn't sleep well, I did sleep well because I was on a call, which was true, Dheeraj. But after that, I wanted to read out a few poems to you guys. One was from Rahat Indori, if you guys know him. One was from Faiz Ahmed Faiz. Wonderful poem. It's called Kutte. I won't read that out to you now. You should Google it and read Kutte. Kutte, let me just brief you this before you go into it, for those of you who have not read the poem. He's not talking about dogs there. So he likens these dogs to us, the mango people, the common people. And what we go through and what we allow, and in the end, he talks about what if these dogs one day realize what has been happening to them. In the end, he goes something like, कोई इनको एहसास से जिल्लत दिला दे, कोई इनकी सोई हुई दुम हिला दे. Okay, so read out this poem yourself. But what I was doing is, I tried to scribble something of my own. I'm not a poet. But today it needs something. Since we are here, we have an opportunity to talk to all these brilliant and bright minds. एक रात की नींद कुर्बान, हजारों नींदें कुर्बान. Poem goes like this. Where have all the journalists gone? Where have the saviors gone? I remember they used to tell my story. I remember they would report everything rosy or gory. Where have all the journalists gone? Where has the voice of the voiceless gone? We were worried and sent out a search party and found some at a party organized by a political party. Some were found in organizational pairs at parties organized by lobbyists and PRs. Where have all the journalists gone? Where has the voice of the voiceless gone? We found some were forced into submission. And some were just scared, not for themselves, but for their nears and dears. Scarred from the plight of their peers. Now where have all the journalists gone? Where has the voice of the voiceless gone? But don't worry, my fellow compatriots. Just don't worry. The dusk will transition into a new dawn as soon as you start differentiating between the news which is right and which is wrong. Say no to fake news, forwards, propaganda and all, then the journalist will have no choice but to sound a clarion call. Some are asleep, but when you rise, even they will wake up to your call. Then you won't have to ask this question, that where have these journalists gone? तो हम में से कुछ तो कोशिश कर रहे हैं, लड़ रहे हैं, आवाज उठा रहे हैं. ये बात सरकार के खिलाफ आवाज की नहीं होती है. ये बात सभी सवाल पूछने की. Unfortunately, can we blame the government of the day? No. Every government has been the same. The only difference has been कुछ थे जो कहते थे खाओ, खाने दो, जियो, जीने दो. कुछ कहते हैं सिर्फ हम खाएंगे, तुम मरो. इतनी difference होती है. Ultimately, we lack the political leadership that cares for you as people, and that is where the media used to come in, to be the bridge in between. और हम आपके दर्द को उठा के उनके सामने रखते थे, उन्हें push करते थे to work towards it. I miss my good old days of journalism, which I was telling my colleagues earlier, that जब हम 40-40 किलोमीटर चल के जाते थे क्योंकि एक गांव में पानी नहीं होता था. I was in school, वो बाटा का जूता मैंने आपसे कहा, और रेक्सीन का जूता हम पहन के आते थे, उसका कलर ब्लैक से ग्रे हो जाता था. फिर हम घर के बाहर आके नल खोल के उसको धोते थे. फिर जब उसकी मिट्टी से वो सौंधी खुशबू उठती थी ना, that used to be the best remuneration we ever got, because we knew गांव में पानी आएगा. We knew वो डस्टबिन वहां से हटेगा. स्कूल के बाहर एक डस्टबिन था, वो हटेगा, तो बच्चों को ना वो स्टिंक नहीं सहनी पड़ेगी. आज हम क्या करते हैं? आज we journalists, और ये बात बहुत जरूरी है for us journalists to say, because till the time we don't accept, understand what we have been doing wrong, we cannot address it, we cannot fix it. आज हम journalist कम, reporting कम, opinionating ज़्यादा करते हैं, तो हमारे opinion ज़्यादा है आज के time, which is very, very unfortunate. That's something we have to fix, and you need to stop watching that for one second. When there are no audiences for it, they'll stop doing it. When you start reading quality stuff, which adds to your knowledge and to your wisdom, they'll stop publishing trash. Dheeraj and some of your fellow students over here, I was showing them yesterday which was the most trending article. It was about, it was not Mundi Badnaam Hui, but something on those lines. That's what people of India majority do. So entertainment gets the highest traffic, news gets the lowest traffic online, which is an idol. Okay? So that is one more thing we have to do. Now, when watchdogs become lapdogs, so citizens have to pick up the stick. And today, as I conclude, I would like you all to promise this to yourselves, for the sake of yourselves, for the sake of the country we live in, that you will be better informed and you will counter this narrative of fake news, and you will be the best of citizens that this country deserves and needs at this point of time. Jai Hind.